Hi, I'm Smoking Joe. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you today about my new purchase, my Ninja H2. So I've had it for about a month now. I think I put like 450 miles on it. I don't have any complaints at all about the bike. I've watched some videos on YouTube of people saying that it's a heavy bike. I think if there was no weight number published on it and you rode it, you would in fact say that it's a light bike. Because of the suspension geometry and the chassis in general, the bike feels extremely light going through corners. And the one thing that really impacted me is the transmission. It's definitely the smoothest transmission of any bike I've ever rode by far. It doesn't matter if you're upshifting, downshifting, it doesn't matter the RPM. The shift lever always has the same nice, smooth, detent feeling. And I don't know why that every bike wouldn't come with a dog ring transmission. I mean, as smooth as it is, it's just incredible. You have to ride it to even believe it. I again have like, it was over 400 miles. I think it was like 430 miles I have on it. Yeah, 435. And I've taken it through some twists. I mean, you can look at the rear tire. There's not much of a chicken strip left on the side of there. I've had it over on the side pretty good. It feels awesome going through the turns. And then, of course, you're just praying for an on-ramp to a freeway. That's just incredible. Definitely want to be careful riding the thing, especially if you're, holding the bike around, say 5, 6, 7,000 RPMs, and you're starting to get into the boost a little bit, and you're playing around with the throttle. If you let off and get back into it, be ready for the bike to immediately be into the power hard. That's one thing that's taken me a little bit of time to get used to. You have to be very careful on the throttle when you're in the boost. I heard the 2015s were a little bit worse with that, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think it's something that you need to get used to just to be safe when you're riding the bike. And Kawasaki always puts those big break-in numbers on their bikes, which I think is a good idea, not necessarily for the mechanical components, but to get the rider used to the bike so you're safe on it. I mean, I don't know what Kawasaki does, but I've been to the Honda assembly line, and when they take a brand new bike off the assembly line, they put it on a dyno and wring its neck out, so that kind of throws the break-in thing out the window. So again, I think it's a good idea though to follow that, especially if you're not a real experienced rider. It'll keep you safe once you get out there, so you have your head wrapped around how the bike makes power and handles. The brakes are just unbelievable. I mean, I've owned a lot of bikes. My last bike that I put 45,000 miles on, in fact, I still own it, was a ZX12R, and I love that bike too. But it's kind of funny, after I rode the Ninja H2, I almost don't want to ride anything else. It's just such an incredible bike. And of course the looks, I've got a lot of vintage Kawasaki's, a couple that I drag race. You may have seen some of my videos. I'm real big on the old styling and old looks, and I thought this thing was a little Space Cadet looking, but I gotta tell you, it's kind of grown on me. The paint is just incredible. As far as exhaust, a lot of people complaining about the exhaust, and I agree, it's ugly, but I'm an engineer. I also understand why they made the exhaust the way that they did. I mean, when you start talking superchargers, you're getting into some pretty high cylinder pressures, which means a really, really loud exhaust note. And in order to be able to import these bikes, they had to meet some standards. And, you can see the exhaust has 2 outlets on it. And I'm assuming that that's to get baffle surface area to get the thing to meet requirements for importation. I will probably eventually be putting a Brox full system on this bike, but again, I understand why the thing's so big, and they did what they had to do to get it into the country, and it's it's a little ugly, but hey, whatever. The lights on it are really good. The headlights incredible. In fact, I went for a late night ride last night, and the LED headlight is really bright. The high beam is just unbelievable on it. You know, for having such a small and only one headlight, the thing's pretty impressive. All the markers, tail lights, everything are LED, which is really nice. Don't ever have to worry about changing out lamps. I don't know, one thing, you know, I'm a detail freak. You can see how clean the bike is. I keep my bike super clean, but the front wheel kind of throws gravel and stuff into the header pipe and dings it up a little bit. I mean, that's just gonna happen, but it'd be kind of cool if there was some way to protect that. The paint, you know, being really reflective, you have to be super careful how you clean it because it will show scratches real easily. Mine actually had a few small scratches from people sitting on it at the dealership in the back of the tank. I don't know if you can see. I did put some 3M clear paint protectant on the back of it just to keep my zipper from scuffing it up. But the detail kit that they send you in the customer appreciation package, the Dr. Beasley's, that stuff does work pretty good. You know, I figured it was snake oil, but it's pretty impressive. It cleans the bike nicely, and it doesn't leave any hairline scratches or anything. But definitely got to be careful with the paint because this thing, you know, it shows dirt and it shows scratches real, I mean, even the lightest. But other than that, awesome bike. You know, when I bought it, I thought that, you know, maybe I'd ride it for 10 years or so and sell it, but I really seriously doubt that I will ever sell this bike. It's just way too cool. You know, every time I ride it, it just puts a huge smile on my face. And like I said, getting onto the highway is a whole new experience. I mean, you pretty much break every single speed limit on the face of the planet in the first 100 feet, you know. It's just unbelievable. It really puts the power to the ground good, you know. Like my ZX12, when I get on it, it'll spin the tire a little bit and then go into a monster wheelie. This thing just kind of, I don't even know how to explain it. It just lifts the wheel a little bit and it pulls really, really hard. So the Japanese did a fantastic job of getting the power to the ground. And I think that's where this bike on the street's going to have a really good advantage against, you know, some of these hand-built, turbocharged, and you know, just big bore bikes that are out there, you know, Landshark stuff. Just because this can put the power to the ground way more effectively than most of those built bikes do, especially with extended swing arms, you know. Just, it's pretty hard to get really good traction on the street if the swing arm's really long, unless you have some real trick suspension. But you know, the weight thing too, people complaining about the weight, again, I understand the weight. If you do the research on the bike, this bike, the engine is engineered to take 200% of the output that it leaves the showroom with. So in my mind, that's a great thing. That means that you can, you know, really pump this thing up and get a lot more horsepower out of it safely. So the extra weight thing doesn't bother me at all, just because, you know, it's not built on the limit of lightness with thin casings and small rods. And, you know, with the supercharger and everything, you can expect a little bit more weight. But again, if nobody ever told you what the weight was, you would never know riding it. I mean, it's just a really awesome feeling bike. And my advice to you, if you're looking, you know, and you're considering or thinking about buying one, just go get it. I mean, again, I have like zero regrets, and trust me, I'm on a shoestring budget. It was insane for me to buy this bike for what it cost. It was $26,000. You know, that's an insane amount of money, but again, I don't have any regrets. So go out and get yourself one, and just be careful. You know, need to be safe out there on the streets. This thing can get away from you, especially if you're not that experienced of a rider. I've been riding about 34 years now, and I approach this thing with utmost caution because it is insanely powerful. But anyways, that's my 2 cents, my long-winded 2 cents. If you're thinking about getting one, I would recommend go get it now while they're still available, and go have fun. Take it easy, and hopefully we'll see you out on the street sometime. Later.